If you are over 60 and you sit down to relax after dinner every single night, I need you to stop and listen to me right now. Because that one simple thing you think is helping your brain recover, that thing your doctor has never once warned you about, is silently doing damage that cannot be undone. And the shocking part? Researchers have known about this for years. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, I am going to show you the one daily habit that science has now confirmed can actually regrow brain cells after the age of 60. Not slow the decline, not manage the symptoms, actually regrow them. I am going to tell you exactly what it is, why your doctor has never brought it up, and how you can start doing it tonight. This is the breakthrough that mainstream medicine is only now beginning to admit is real. And if you are in your 60s or 70s, this may be the most important 12 minutes you spend all year. So please, do not click away. Let me start with some numbers that I want you to really sit with, because these are not scare tactics. These are real statistics about real people. People who are probably a lot like you. Right now, 1 in 10 Americans over the age of 65 has dementia. 1 in 10. That is not some distant number in a medical textbook. That is someone at your church, someone in your neighborhood, maybe someone sitting across from you at the dinner table. And it gets harder to hear. Research published through the National Institutes of Health has estimated that up to 42% of Americans over the age of 55 will eventually develop dementia in their lifetime. Nearly half. And on top of that, about 15% of people over 65 already have what doctors call mild cognitive impairment. That gray zone where you feel like your memory is slipping but nobody is taking it seriously yet. If you are over 60 and you have ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there, or you have searched for a word that used to come so easily, or you have looked at someone you have known for years and had that terrifying half-second where the name just would not come, you are not alone, and you are not imagining it. Something is happening inside the brain after 60 that mainstream medicine has spent decades telling us was simply irreversible. They told us brain cells die and they are gone forever. They told us cognitive decline was a natural part of aging, and the best you could do was stay mentally active and hope for the best. They were wrong. And the science that proves they were wrong has been sitting in research journals for years, while your doctor handed you a pamphlet and sent you home. Here is what is actually happening inside your brain right now. And I warn you, this is the part most people do not know, and once you hear it, you will understand why I felt compelled to make this video. Deep inside your brain there is a structure called the hippocampus. Think of it as the brain's memory center, the place where new memories are formed, and where your sense of direction, your ability to recognize faces, and your capacity to learn new things all live. After the age of 60, the hippocampus begins to shrink. Not slowly, not barely. Medical researchers have measured it shrinking at a rate of about 1 to 2% per year in aging adults who are not doing anything to stop it. That shrinkage is directly linked to the memory slips, the confusion, the feeling of mental fog that so many people in their 60s start to accept as just normal aging. But here is the thing nobody told you. The hippocampus is also one of the only regions of the entire human brain where brand new neurons, brand new brain cells, can actually grow in adulthood. Scientists call this neurogenesis, and for most of the 20th century, the medical community flatly denied it happened in humans at all. They said you were born with all the brain cells you would ever have, and losing them was a one-way street. That was the official position for decades. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that even as the science began to change, even as study after study started showing that adult neurogenesis was not only real, but was happening right now inside your brain, the message never made it to you. It never made it to the waiting room. It never made it into the conversation with your doctor. While the research was quietly building in laboratories at Harvard, Stanford, and the University of Pittsburgh, most older adults were still being told there was nothing they could do, still being handed prescriptions for symptoms instead of solutions for the cause. And the reason this matters so deeply for people over 60 is that the window of opportunity is not infinite. Every year that goes by without actively supporting neurogenesis in your hippocampus is another year that tissue is lost. Another year that those new neurons your brain is capable of producing never get the signal to grow. The research is now crystal clear on what triggers that signal, and it is also clear on what shuts it down completely. What your doctor is not telling you is that there is one specific category of daily behavior that has been proven in controlled clinical trials to increase hippocampal volume, raise the levels of a critical brain growth protein in your bloodstream, and directly stimulate the production of new brain cells, even in adults in their 60s and 70s. Not a drug, not a supplement, not an expensive procedure. Something completely free, completely available to you right now, and backed by some of the most rigorous brain science published in the last 20 years. That protein I mentioned has a name: brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. When your levels of BDNF are high, your brain can grow new connections, repair damaged pathways, and yes, produce new neurons in the hippocampus. When your BDNF is low, that process slows down and eventually stops. Here is what is shocking, and I want you to really hear this. Researchers have found that people with early Alzheimer's disease consistently show dramatically lower levels of BDNF than healthy adults of the same age. Low BDNF is not just a symptom of cognitive decline. Growing evidence suggests it may be one of the driving forces behind it. So what raises BDNF? What sends that signal to your hippocampus to start growing again? Aerobic exercise. Specifically, moderate aerobic exercise performed consistently over time. Now, before you click away thinking I just spent 12 minutes leading you to go for a walk, I need you to understand exactly what the science shows, because this is not general health advice. This is neuroscience, with specific, measurable, documented results in people your age, with brains your age, facing the exact same risks you are facing right now. In a landmark study led by Dr. Kirk Erickson at the University of Pittsburgh, 120 older adults, none of them athletes, none of them in exceptional health, were divided into two groups. One group did stretching and toning exercises. The other group walked around a track for 40 minutes, 3 days a week, for 1 year. Just walking. Just 40 minutes, 3 times a week. At the end of the year, researchers scanned every participant's brain. The stretching group, as expected, showed the normal age-related shrinkage in the hippocampus, about 1.4% loss. The walking group did not just stop the shrinkage. Their hippocampus actually grew, by about 2%. That is a reversal of roughly 2 years of age-related brain loss from walking. And their memory scores improved measurably alongside it. This was not a fringe study. This was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, one of the most respected scientific journals on the planet. And it has since been confirmed, repeated, and built upon by research teams all over the world. More recent research has looked specifically at BDNF levels in older adults after aerobic exercise, and the results are consistent. Even a single session of moderate intensity walking, something like a brisk 30-minute walk where you can still hold a conversation, but you are working slightly harder than a casual stroll, produces a measurable spike in BDNF within hours. Do that consistently, 3 to 5 days a week, and your baseline BDNF levels begin to rise over weeks and months. Your brain, quite literally, begins to change. And the research on superagers, those remarkable people in their 70s and 80s who have the memory and cognitive function of people decades younger, has revealed that one of the strongest biological signatures they share is elevated levels of hippocampal neurogenesis. Their brains are still growing new cells, not because they won a genetic lottery, because of how they live. So here is what I want you to do, and you can start this tonight. The goal is 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity per week. That sounds like a lot, but broken down it is just 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Or 40 minutes, 3 days a week, exactly like the participants in Dr. Erickson's study. Walking is enough. You do not need a gym. You do not need equipment. You need a pair of comfortable shoes and a route that takes you away from your couch. The key word is moderate. You want to be moving fast enough that your heart rate is up, that you feel slightly warm, that you are breathing a little harder than normal, but you should still be able to speak in full sentences. That is the aerobic zone where BDNF production spikes. Too slow and you miss the window. Too hard and you push past it. Consistency matters far more than intensity. A 30-minute walk 5 days a week for 3 months will do more for your hippocampus than one exhausting 2-hour hike on a Saturday. Your brain needs the signal repeated and steady. That is what tells it this is a new normal. That is what turns on the biological machinery for neurogenesis. If walking is difficult due to joint pain, know that research also supports swimming, cycling, and even water aerobics as equally effective at raising BDNF and supporting hippocampal growth. The mechanism is cardiovascular activation, combined with rhythmic, sustained movement. And there are multiple ways to achieve that. One more thing I want you to know, because I think it is the most empowering part of all of this. The research on neurogenesis in older adults shows that the brain does not care how old you are when you start. Studies have found hippocampal volume increases in adults who began a consistent aerobic exercise routine in their late 60s and even their early 70s. The brain retains this capacity far longer than we were ever told. The door is not closed. It has never been closed. It was just never shown to you. You were told that what happens to your brain after 60 is out of your hands. That is one of the most dangerous lies in modern medicine, and the truth, backed by peer-reviewed science published in the most prestigious journals in the world, is finally being admitted. The brain can change. The brain can grow. And the single most powerful tool available to you right now, today, tonight, costs you nothing but 30 minutes and a pair of walking shoes. I want you to think about one person in your life who is over 60. A spouse, a sibling, a friend, a neighbor. Someone who deserves to know that this is possible. Someone who may be quietly frightened about their memory and has never been told there is something real they can do about it. Please share this video with that person today. Not tomorrow, today. Because the sooner they know, the sooner they can start, and every single week counts. If this kind of information matters to you, the kind that actually comes from science, that respects your intelligence, and that gives you real answers instead of managed expectations, then please subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell so you never miss a new video. We cover the research that your doctor's 15-minute appointment does not have time for. And we do it for people who are done being told to just accept what is happening to their bodies. Your brain is not finished growing, and neither are you.